Listen. Listen. This is just what it is, okay? Listen to Uncle Lou. Yeah. Listen. If you ate turkey yesterday, that's amazing and stuffing and all that. If you're not eating leftover turkey sandwiches today, you're doing Thanksgiving completely wrong. This is the best part. This is the best part about Thanksgiving. The leftover turkey sandwiches. Miami and Pittsburgh is coming on now. This is really the only decent game today, ain't it? I know there's a bunch of games on today, but this is really the only good one, isn't it? Anyway. Good morning. I wish I could pick Pitt to win this game. I do think there's a lot of things working in Pittsburgh's favor for this game. It's a weekday game. It's on the road from Miami. It's 90 degrees in Miami, and it's probably 40 degrees here. This would be a lot better for Pittsburgh, though, if this was a night game, to be honest. If this game was at night, I would pick Pittsburgh to win. I still think there's a chance Pittsburgh pulls off the upset here. But I don't think I can pick Pitt to win. So, I guess I'm going to have to pick Miami to win, but I'll take Pitt to cover. What's the spread? I don't even know. 11 or 12? Sounds like that's about what it should be. This is what it is. Okay? It's this right here. What about Nick Fitzgerald's leg, though? Did y'all see that last night in the Egg Bowl? Who'd I pick to win that game? Mississippi State? Mississippi State had no chance as soon as Nick Fitzgerald went down, didn't it? That was a nasty-looking injury, too. Who the hell is this now? Director of Player Development. Anyway. So, what y'all want to talk about, though? Oh, the turnover chain. So, all right, predictions time. Tell me the game. Tell me a game. I'll give you my thoughts on it, and I'll give you a winner. Hey, what's up, Currington? What's up, everybody? FSU and Florida. I'm going with Florida to win this game. Everything's pointing to Florida State. I mean, Florida State actually still has a coach, right? Jimbo Fisher, even though he's packing his bags and getting ready to head out of town here pretty soon. Florida got no coach. Got ran over by South Carolina and Missouri. They beat a high school team last week. Man, nobody cares about this game. Isn't that weird? Florida and Florida State, and no one even cares. Both teams have losing records. When was the last time these two teams played and both had losing records? It had to be a while ago. I think Florida's defense plays a good game today, and their trash offense finds enough points and wins an ugly game over Florida State. So I'm taking Florida in the Florida State game. All right, what's next? South Carolina or Clemson? I'm taking South Carolina. I already told you. I just have a feeling about this game. I talked about Pittsburgh and Miami a minute ago and how it would be better for Pittsburgh if that game was at night. Well, the South Carolina-Clemson game is at night. It's at 7 or 7:30 in Columbia. South Carolina thinks they can beat Clemson. They're confident. Clemson is overconfident. They beat them by like 50 points last year. That was in Clemson, though. Clemson was a different team last year. Clemson's still a good team, not the team they were last year. I'm taking South Carolina in the upset on that one. What's next? Ohio State versus Michigan. Ohio State's going to win. I'd love to see them lose another game. If JT Barrett comes out and plays like he's never seen a football before, like he did in a couple other games this year, Michigan would have a chance. But Michigan just doesn't have any offense at all. I mean, absolutely none. They're not winning that game. Ohio State's going to win that game big. I'm getting a little sick of hearing about Jim Harbaugh, too. What a great coach he is. Guy can't even win his division. About to be 0-3 against his biggest rival, Ohio State. Can't win his division. Might be time for Harbaugh to move back to the NFL. Just not working out for him in college, is it? LSU versus Texas A&M. LSU's winning that game, no problems. Neither team is great. Texas A&M doesn't give up. They just collapse the second half of the year. Every year. It never fails. Kevin Sumlin and Texas A&M, they always surprise you in the first half of the season and start out 4-0 or 5-1 or something like that. And they just crash and burn second half of the season. Same thing has happened this year. Sumlin. Sorry. I think I fixed it, though. LSU wins that game, no problem. Kevin Sumlin's out of a job. A dude gone. LSU wins that one. So, what else? Tennessee and Vandy. I'm taking Vandy. I just can't pick Tennessee to win. They're terrible. They're awful. Jawan Jennings comes out and makes a bunch of Instagram videos this week where he just completely trashes the team and the coaching staff and the program. He promptly gets kicked off the team. You know, everybody has turned Tennessee down. You know, Scott Frost turned them down. Chip Kelly turned them down. They can't find a coach for next year. They're the new South Carolina. They're going to offer the job to 8 or 9 people before they finally find somebody that'll accept the job. Vanderbilt, a little disappointing this year. Even for Vanderbilt, I thought they would be a little bit better than they are. But Tennessee is just so bad. I can't pick Tennessee to win. So, can I pick Vandy to win, though? I don't know. So I guess I'll just pick Tennessee to lose. Yeah. Dukes, Brian. Dukes, there is no other. Is there any other kind of mayonnaise? If there is, I'm unaware. But yes, this is Dukes mayonnaise. Missouri and Arkansas. I think Missouri wins. Arkansas, another team that doesn't care and has given up. Missouri, sort of the opposite. Started off terrible, but they've sort of gotten better in the second half of the season. Won a couple of games that they weren't expected to win. So I have to take Missouri to beat Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas has just completely given up. Kentucky versus Louisville. I'm taking Kentucky in that game. Louisville not as good as they were last year, in my opinion. Lamar Jackson will still be the best player on the field, but I think Kentucky will be able to run the ball enough, chew up some clock, try to keep him off the field enough to win the game. I'm going to take Kentucky to beat Louisville in a close game. Like a 30-28 type of game. Washington State and Washington. I hate Washington. Don't really care one way or the other about Washington State. I'd love to pick Washington State, but I think Washington wins that game. UCF versus South Florida. You know what? I'm going to take South Florida to win that one. I'm going to take South Florida to win and hand UCF its first loss. I like the quarterback from South Florida. South Florida does have one loss, but who was that to? Houston or something like that, so not a terrible loss. I'm going to take the upset in that one and pick South Florida to beat UCF. Boonk says Georgia Tech 27, Georgia 20. Yeah, that's not happening. It's just no way. Georgia's going to win that game big. That game will be over at halftime, to be honest with you. Almost a turnover there. Auburn and Alabama. And if you're eating turkey sandwich without milk, you're just an idiot. Auburn and Alabama. I know Auburn showed up in the Georgia game, played one of the best games they've played in a couple of years, and put a whooping on my dogs. But I still don't trust Gus Malzahn in big games. Like I said, yeah, showed up in the Georgia game, but more times than not, Auburn under Gus Malzahn has not looked good in these big games. It's hard for me to pick against Alabama and Nick Saban ever under any circumstances. Would I be shocked if Auburn won that game? No, I wouldn't. I just have a feeling Alabama finds a way to win that game. They were about a 13-point favorite 2 weeks ago. Now that line now is down to, what is that thing? Somewhere between 3 and 6 points, I'm thinking, on that game now. A lot of money got put on Auburn in the last couple of weeks. I just don't... This is a tough game to pick. It's at Auburn. I just think Alabama finds a way to get it done. And I think the Gumps beat the Barners in one of the all-time, another classic in this Iron Bowl series. No, one for the ages type of deal. Justin Fields versus Jake Fromm. Who's better? Hard to, don't really know. Never seen Justin Fields play in college before, so don't really know. Don't be surprised if Georgia Tech upsets Georgia. I'll be extremely surprised if Georgia Tech upsets. I'll be way more shocked this year if Tech wins than I was last year. And you all know what happened last year when Tech beat Georgia. I would be way more shocked and angry if it happened this year, but it's not. So, can you live stream? If the game is close, I will live stream the end. But I'm not going to live stream the whole game. But if the game is close in the fourth quarter, I will live stream the end of the game, the last half of the fourth quarter or the last 5 minutes, whatever. If it's close, one possession type of deal, I'll live stream the end of the game. Jalen Hurts versus Jake Fromm. Well, Hurts is a better runner. Fromm is a better passer. Lou, Alabama is a better matchup for Georgia because Auburn is much better defending the run. Okay. Georgia doesn't want to play Auburn again. Georgia doesn't care who they play. Who would you rather Georgia play, Auburn or Alabama? And which team do you think Georgia matches up best with? It would be nice to play Auburn for the revenge factor. But I've wanted to play Alabama all year. I feel like, let's say Georgia beats Auburn in the SEC title game. I feel like there's going to be people who will say, well, yeah, Georgia won the SEC, but they didn't beat Bama. So I don't really care who we play. Doesn't matter to me. There's ups and downs to playing both. But, we'll just wait and see who wins tomorrow and go from there. Tennessee is going to be 0-12 next year. I don't know about that, but there's more missing from Tennessee than just a new coach. I can promise you that. No matter what coach they get, no matter how good or bad, they're not coming in next year and going 12-0. I mean, they're missing things other than coach. I mean, that's just obvious. Garantano is a beast. Not that I've seen, sir. In my opinion, quarterback is one of the things that they're missing. What's the story behind your hat? I talked about this yesterday. Wasn't it yesterday? Or the day before on a live stream. Somebody sent Uncle Lou this hat. Okay. Someone sent it to me. Kirk K sent me this hat. Sent me 2 of them. This one says Lou Tube on the back. The other one says Uncle Lou on the back. Lou, have you ever tried milk with turkey sandwich? There's no other way to eat a turkey sandwich than with a cold glass. And listen, it's got to be whole milk, okay? It's got to be whole milk, and it has to be in a glass. Please don't let me catch you drinking 2% milk out of a plastic cup. Buy real milk and drink it in a glass, please. I mean, have some self-respect about yourself. It's one thing to troll and act like a moron in the comment section on YouTube. That's fine. But in real life, use Duke's mayonnaise and drink whole milk out of an actual glass, please. I mean, come on. What other games, though? What'd you think of Ole Miss beating Mississippi State? Once Nick Fitzgerald went out, that game was over. He's too big a part of what they do on offense to just replace him. And on top of that, they were trying to replace him with a true freshman quarterback. So that game was over as soon as Fitzgerald got hurt. Iron Bowl, I picked Alabama to win a close one. What will I do if Georgia Tech wins? I don't know. I don't pre-plan the game. I don't pre-plan my post-game reactions. So whatever happens, win or lose, I just hit record as soon as the game is over. So we'll see. Has Will Grier improved since leaving Florida? Will Grier was good when he was at Florida. Weren't they like 6-0 or something before he got hurt that year that he played? And then, you know, he got hooked on coke or whatever it was, and they kicked him off the team. But he was good when he was the last good quarterback they had. Lou, if Georgia beats Bama in the championship game, could they beat Wisconsin? I think Georgia and Wisconsin would be a good game. Georgia would probably, my guess would be that Georgia would be favored over Wisconsin. I may be wrong. I would think Georgia would be favored by 3 points over Wisconsin. Yeah, right. Will Grier, a banned supplement from GNC. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And Urban Meyer quit because he had a heart condition. Yeah. Do I consider Kyle Shermer at Vanderbilt a good QB? He's above average. I mean, he's, you know, I don't think he's going to be in the NFL or anything like that, but he's above average. Georgia in the Birmingham Bowl has no chance of that. We're either going to the playoff or a New Year's Six Bowl. I mean, that's just what it is. Either the Peach Bowl or the Orange Bowl. Who's the best quarterback in the SEC? The best pure quarterback in the SEC is Drew Lock, Missouri. AMC is showing the original Karate Kid. That's a good movie. Mercy is for the weak. We show no mercy. Sweep the leg! Yeah, that's a good movie. Show me Sando Floor. Jalen Hurts is actually the best QB in the SEC. No, he's not. And it's not even close. Jalen Hurts is in the bottom half of the SEC in terms of passing quarterbacks. He's a good running back. He's not a good quarterback. Lou is named Jeff. My name? No. Georgia won't be in the Birmingham Bowl. No. No way. Is Jake Bentley due for a big game tomorrow? He's going to have one if South Carolina wants to pull the upset and beat Clemson. The thing about Jake Bentley, I say this all the time. I'm not saying he's as good as Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, but he's that type of player. He takes a lot of chances. Now, a lot of times that pays off, and a lot of times it results in interceptions and things like that. He's sort of a gunslinger type of quarterback. I personally like that kind of a quarterback. I like a quarterback who's not afraid to take a chance every once in a while. Now, the obvious risk of that is throwing an interception at the worst possible time. But Bentley's capable of having a good game. It really hurt South Carolina this year to lose Deebo Samuel. I mean, he's an NFL wide receiver. He was one of the best playmakers in the SEC. It really hurt South Carolina to lose him. And I just don't know if they're going to be able to score enough to beat Clemson. I'm picking South Carolina to win. But that would be my concern as a South Carolina fan. I just don't know if they're going to be able to score enough to beat Clemson. We'll see. But, yeah, I think Bentley would have to have a huge game if that's what's going to happen. Do you think Drew Lock will take the season? He could. Drew Lock throws it 40, 45 times a game, so he could break a lot of records. John Gruden be my last pick. I don't blame you, BVD. You're one of the only smart Tennessee fans around then. John Gruden would be a terrible college coach. There's absolutely no evidence anywhere to suggest otherwise. None. I don't understand the infatuation that the Voltards have with John Gruden. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And it's sad, really, because whoever Tennessee ends up hiring is going to be seen as a disappointment to 90% of the Tennessee fans. So the guys really, whoever y'all hire is starting out behind the 8 ball, really. Because as soon as he loses one game, everybody's going to say the same thing. See, should have hired John Gruden. I mean, I don't understand. Y'all are really setting yourselves up for a bad situation there at Tennessee. A bad situation. And that's, I'm not even talking trash. Y'all know I don't usually talk a lot of trash on these live videos. I try to give you my honest feelings and stuff. And I feel like Tennessee is about to make a bad hire, number one. And number two, whoever they hire, I don't feel like that person's going to be given a chance because of this infatuation that the fans have with John Gruden. Oh, if the person is watching, that was a good play by Miami to save a touchdown there. If the person is watching, someone sent me an email, I don't know, yesterday or this morning sometime, that was like a book. I mean, I had to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll to read the email, basically preaching to me about not smoking. If you're watching, I do appreciate your concern. I really do. I know smoking is bad for you, and I do plan on quitting soon. Now, the thing about soon is it's a subjective word. In other words, soon could be a week or it could be a year, really. It just depends. It's a subjective word, so I'll just leave it at that I plan on quitting soon. But I do appreciate your concern and all that. But so yeah. Ohio State or Michigan? Ohio State wins. It won't be close. Michigan just pathetic on offense, anemic. Jim Harbaugh, one of the biggest scams in all of college football. The guy's making $7, $8, $9 million a year. Can't win his division. Never beaten his rival, Ohio State, and it's not going to happen this year. I don't understand. Harbaugh needs to get out, in my opinion, and I think he will. I think Harbaugh's the type of guy I don't think wants to be fired. I think Harbaugh would quit before he ever got fired, but the guy's just not. It's just not working at Michigan. Congratulations on having a great defensive line, Michigan. That's amazing. But unless that defensive line is going to start scoring 3 or 4 touchdowns a game, you're never going to get above 8 or 9 wins. It's just not going to happen. Somebody said if Georgia wins out, do I think they'll go to the playoff? Obviously they will. Yeah. I mean, there's no scenario that involves Georgia winning its next 2 games and not going to the playoff. Now, you can argue, what a surprise. Miami's losing to an unranked team in the first quarter of a game. Shocker. You can argue about whether or not you think Georgia's going to win the next 2 games. That's fine. But you can't argue that Georgia is going to win and then not make the playoff. I mean, that's just not, there's no possible way that happens. If Georgia beats Georgia Tech and then wins the SEC title game and they're sitting there at 12-1, they're going to the playoff. I mean, it's just reality. You know, I say this all the time, but the fact that something makes you mad, that in and of itself doesn't make it not true, okay? Would you bang Herschel? What? Do you think Kentucky can be a good team in 5 to 10 years? Kentucky's a good team now. I mean, good teams win 7, 8 games a year and make a bowl game. That's what good teams do. Kentucky's good now. They're not great and they're not elite, but they're good. Well, I mean, aren't they? What are they? 7-4 or something like? Is that right? 7-4. Auburn versus Alabama. I picked Alabama to win that game in a close one. It wouldn't surprise me if Auburn won. I know the game's at Auburn. I just feel like Auburn played the best game they've played in 2 or 3 years a couple of weeks ago against Georgia. Everything clicked for them. Everything went right. Everything went Auburn's way, and they completely dominated that game. I haven't seen Auburn play an entire game like that in 3 or 4 years, so I can't really bank on them repeating that against Alabama. And I also still don't trust Gus Malzahn in big games. And I don't see how you really can pick against Nick Saban. I would rather pick Nick Saban and be wrong than pick against Nick Saban and look like an idiot. So in this case, I'm going with Alabama and Nick Saban. I think they win a close game. What about Zeus? Zamir White tore his ACL. I don't know how good or bad. Well, it's not good. I don't know how bad the tear is. I do know it happened on Friday. He got up and jogged off the field, and from what I was told, he didn't even know it was torn until a couple of days later. Now, from somebody who has torn a bunch of ligaments in his knee, if he didn't know it was torn, then I'm thinking it must not be that bad of a thing. Because when I tore my knee up, I mean, I knew right away. I mean, there was no question. I couldn't even stand on it at all. Couldn't put any weight on it. Swole up like a grapefruit. So I don't know. So we'll see as far as that goes. Lou, thoughts on the Nick Fitz injury? I don't ever like to see anybody get injured. High school, college, Georgia, any other team playing, nobody. I don't like to see. These people are not getting paid to play. Yeah, they're tuition and all that. But look, I don't ever want to see anybody get hurt, ever. And that was a bad injury that Fitzgerald took. I hope he's able to come back. I guess there's no reason why he wouldn't, even though the injury looked really bad. In the end, a broken leg, no matter how bad it looks, and I'm not minimizing a broken leg, but I'm not sure anybody has ever broke their leg and then never been able to play again. So I don't see any reason why he won't be able to come back and play next year. But that was a bad-looking injury, and I knew right when that happened, Mississippi State wasn't winning that game. He's too much of that offense. You can't replace him, and it was a true freshman they brought in to replace him in their biggest game of the year, and they just never were really able to get anything going offensively. Until the very end of the game, they scored a garbage touchdown or something that made it look closer at the end, really, than it was. But, yeah, that was a bad injury. Do I think Michigan will keep it close? No, I don't. I think Ohio State beats them bad. Do I think the Georgia coaches are making a mistake by not playing Eason over Frome? At this point, no. They don't have a choice now. You can't switch quarterbacks now. Once it got to like week 6 or 7 and we were 6-0, 7-0, especially once we beat Florida, that was it. There was no way they could put Eason in after that. If they would have put Eason in and things went wrong, they would have looked like the dumbest coaching staff in the history of the world. You bench your starter when you're 7-8-0. You bring the other guy in and he loses. I mean, they would have looked like idiots. If I'm going to second-guess anything the Georgia coaches have done this year, I think they should have let Frome throw the ball a whole lot more in all those games where we're winning by 30 and 40 points. He's averaging 11 or 12 passes a game, and a lot of the Georgia fans like to point to his efficiency rating. And I like, I'm happy with his efficiency rating too. He's tops in the SEC in terms of passing efficiency. That's not all that impressive, really, when you're passing 11 or 12 times a game, though. It's just not. And if you've watched the Georgia games, a lot, his pass, he doesn't pass the ball, and you find yourself going, wow, that was an amazing pass. A few, yeah. But the majority of the passes, it seems to me anyway, are 50-50 balls thrown down the sideline to Javon Wims, where he just jumps up and out-jumps a defensive back and catches it. 90 to 95% of the throws he makes are to the sideline. We have no over-the-middle passing game. I'm not knocking Fromm. That could be the coach's fault. That could be Chaney's fault. That could be our philosophy is just that. I'm not blaming anybody. That's just what I see when I watch. Georgia has a very simple and basic passing game. He's a freshman. No matter how good you are, I say this all the time too, no matter how good you are in high school, there's never been a high school recruit that showed up at college with college experience. And the only way to get any is to go out there and do it. And handing the ball off 30 times a game every second half because we're up by 30 points didn't really give Fromm the experience he needed in my estimation. And we sort of saw the downside to that in the Auburn game. When the run game was shut down, Fromm just looked lost. He had a hard time getting rid of the ball quick. Yeah, he was under pressure the whole time. But Eason was under pressure all of last season, and eventually he adjusted to that and started getting rid of the ball quicker. Fromm just doesn't have enough experience in college dropping back and throwing the ball, in my opinion. So that would be the thing I would second guess, not that Eason didn't play more. So, yeah. Favorite Thanksgiving side dish? You love dressing? I like dressing. I like green bean casserole. I like stuffing too. I don't know if you consider there to be a difference between dressing and stuffing. But my dad's side of the family, his parents are from up north. And so my dad's side of the family, they've always done stuffing. They have dressing too, but they actually stuff the turkey. And I like that. So I like stuffing, dressing. I like green bean casserole, mashed potatoes, but I eat that I eat that all the time. I love mashed potatoes. My favorite, I guess, would probably be the stuffing or the green bean casserole. I was born in Georgia. My dad was actually born in Canada, but moved down here when he was 6 months old. So my dad's lived here since he was 6 months old. I was born here. But my dad's parents are from the Massachusetts area. My mom's family is from out west, Arizona, and some Alabama too, but always lived here. Do you watch any baseball? No, I can't get into baseball. It's just boring to me. Lou Jr. plays baseball in the spring, or at least he has the last 3 or 4 years. That might be changing now. I think he wants to play soccer instead of baseball. Anyway, that doesn't matter. But no, I don't. I gave up on baseball a long time ago. UJ got a trash basketball team. Yeah, we need to fire Mark Fox. I don't know why the guy's still there. Been there 10 years, never won an NCAA tournament game. That's just absolutely pathetic and embarrassing. I don't understand how he still has a job. Every time Mark Fox cashes a paycheck from UGA, he should be charged with theft. It wasn't Frome gameplay that was different in the Auburn game. There's somebody making a Frome excuse. Let's see what this says. It wasn't Frome gameplay that was different in the Auburn game that resorted into a UJ loss. The defense didn't stop the run. We didn't do a good job blocking along with turnovers. Yeah, see, this is a typical Frome response. They name everything else that went wrong in the game and refuse to put any of the blame on Frome, which is fine. Yeah, the defense didn't play good against the run. Hard to do when you're playing a team that runs a hurry-up offense and your offense can't get a first down. So your defense stays on the field, can't get off because they're wore out. I mean, it just is what it is. Fromm completed about 40% of his passes in that game. So, that's just what it is. Let's see. the test for a Georgia fan to see if they're just a Fromm bot and just, you know, worship Fromm and all this kind of stuff, or if they're an objective observer, is to ask them if Jake Fromm played good in the Tennessee game. That's how you figure it out. If they say, yeah, Fromm had a great game against Tennessee, then they're just a Fromm fanboy, and they're not capable of making an objective opinion on it. If you're not Vanderbilt, you're screwed. I don't know about that. Hold on, let's see what he says. Somebody, let's see. I'm not saying Fromm didn't play well. I just feel other greater expects resorted into a loss, but I agree Fromm did not play well. Okay, I can accept that. What's your South Carolina Clemson prediction? I'm picking South Carolina to win in an upset. I'm picking a lot of upsets this week. You know, normally I pick 1 or 2 upsets a week. I mean, you have to. You can't just pick all the favorites all the time. With this being rivalry week and me being an SEC homer, I'm just going to go ahead and pick all the SEC teams to win. So I picked Florida to beat Florida State. I picked Kentucky to beat Louisville. I picked Georgia to beat Georgia Tech, obviously. And I'm going to go ahead and pick South Carolina to beat Clemson. Favorite Thanksgiving dessert? Mine is, oh, it's funny that you say that, strawberry pie. Strawberry pie was my favorite dessert when I was a kid, and someone made me one yesterday and brought it over to my parents' house for Thanksgiving. So I had strawberry pie yesterday, too. That's what I had for dessert yesterday. Gus will not leave. I think there's about a 50% chance right now that Gus does leave and goes to Arkansas. If they lose to Alabama this weekend, I think that goes to about a 75% chance that he leaves. I don't think he likes it in Auburn. And the fans don't like him either. You know, now they don't want to say that now because Auburn is just beat Georgia and has a chance to make the playoff and all that. But 3 weeks ago, about 80% of the Auburn fans wanted Gus Malzahn fired. Now all of a sudden they love him. I'm not buying it. I mean, is anybody surprised by this? I say this on video every Sunday after Miami wins. I say, look, Miami came out, looked like crap, was losing in the first half, was losing in the second half, but somehow came up with a miracle fourth quarter win. So if anybody is surprised by what they're seeing in this game, then you either haven't watched any Miami games all year or you haven't been paying attention to Uncle Lou like you're supposed to. Either that or you have been paying attention to me and you just didn't believe me. Yes, Juwan Jennings got kicked off the team for his Instagram videos. So, yeah, he gone. Miami is the real deal. Oh, thank you, Debbie Hackett, for your opinion. Yep. This is so funny. Lou, get off Rick's nuts. This is hilarious to me. Hilarious to me, right? Anytime a team plays bad, whether they win or lose, all year long, I jump on them. Do I not? But if Miami plays bad and I jump on them, it's just because Rick used to coach at UGA. Quit being so damn basic, BVD. Quit being so damn simple-minded. If you've watched, listen, up until the point where Miami played Virginia Tech and Notre Dame, I had Miami fans messaging me all the time saying, you're right, we look like crap, we got lucky, we won that game. But these, you trolls, and BVD, that's what you've turned into here lately, if you want to know the truth, sir, is a troll. Every time I say something bad about Miami, it's because of Mark. He hate him because Mark Rick. He don't want to. It's got nothing to do with Mark Rick. Mark Rick means nothing to me, good, bad, or indifferent. That ship sailed. Miami's been behind in over half the games they've played. They should have lost to Georgia Tech. They had a miracle catch on 4th and 13 down the sideline where the ball was tipped 3 or 4 times and the guy caught it falling down. That's an incomplete pass 99 times out of 100. They were losing to North Carolina, a 1-win team. They had 4 turnovers in the second half. I mean, their defense got 4 turnovers in the second half against North Carolina. If they would have got 3 turnovers, they would have lost. They were losing by 14 points 2 different times to Virginia last week. Okay? So when I come on video and say these things, it's got nothing to do with Mark Richt. It's the same reason okay, listen, I tell you, I said Washington was no good all year, right? Before they lost 2 games. I kept telling you, Washington's not going in my top 10. I said Washington's staying at number 10. Only because they're undefeated and they made the playoff last year. But they're not moving up. I said the only way Washington's moving up is if they make the college football playoff, and then I'll put them at number 4. Do I hate Scott Peterson or whatever the hell that coach's name is at Washington? No. I watch Washington games. I say, this ain't a very good team. And I say my opinion. It's the same thing with Miami. But BVD done turned into nothing but a troll. I mean, if you want to know what's going on with Tennessee Vols now, as far as YouTube goes, you got to watch Volunteer Roadshow. BVD used to be the go-to guy, right? He used to be the go-to guy for Tennessee on YouTube. Now he's a has-been. He's a used to be. You know? He's somebody you watch if you have extra time after you watch Volunteer Roadshow. And he's resorted to becoming an everyday, common comment section troll. Man, that's sad, BVD. That is sad, man. That one guy says, I want Pitt to beat Miami. Okay. Cliche Cat wants to bake me some cookies. Yeah, you can bake me cookies, no problem. Oh, don't forget, if any of y'all live in Augusta or in the Augusta area, don't forget, I'm going to the Wild Wings tomorrow on Washington Road to watch the first half of the Georgia Tech game. So I'll be up there at about 11:30. Game starts at noon. So any of y'all in the Augusta area, come on up to Wild Wings on Washington Road and watch the game with UNCLELOU tomorrow. Miguel Andre says Tennessee is trash. I mean, Miguel, they literally are. I mean, they literally are trash. I mean, it's just a shame. General Voltard is probably the best thing going Tennessee related on YouTube, but Volunteer Roadshow has a hell of a channel too. I watch his stuff. He's a good guy. I talk to him all the time too. He's a good guy too. Yeah. What is this now? I missed whatever happened there. Oh, Pitt dropped the ball. Okay. Yeah. What coach out there would you not like Florida to get? I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter to me who they get, really. I think Chip Kelly would be an epic disaster in more than one way. Number one, I don't think Chip Kelly would be successful in terms of wins and losses at Florida. And number two, he probably would leave Florida in 3 or 4 years on probation. So, of course my wife is hot, obviously. Sometimes the comments scroll so fast I can't see them, so sorry. Law Tide gave rise to UNCLELOU. That's true. And BVD too, really. Notre Dame has a path to the playoffs. Barring total catastrophe, Notre Dame's not making a playoff, but I guess theoretically it's possible. Paul Feinbaum says dogs over Auburn in a rematch. Well, Paul, we know you're only saying that because you're an Alabama homer and you hate the barn. But I do appreciate the support, Paul. Thank you. Two Moms cookies in Augusta? No, I haven't tried that. Is BVD a communist? I don't believe so. No. Notre Dame versus Stanford. That's a tough one to pick. If Notre Dame shows up and plays good, I think they can beat Stanford no problem. I can't figure out the Notre Dame versus Miami game. And I'm going to admit I didn't watch much of that game. It was a blowout, and I just didn't watch much of it. That surprised me, though. Notre Dame runs the ball for 350, 400 a game on everybody they play except UGA and Miami. I didn't see that blowout coming at all. Stanford's not a great team, but they have one of the best players in college football with Bryce Love. He's been hobbled lately with the ankle injury. If he's 100%, I think Stanford can win that game. If he's not 100%, then I'd probably have to go with Notre Dame. I haven't read up on that game to know one way or the other what sort of shape Bryce Love is in. I'm sure he'll play. I'm just not a believer in the Pac-12. I'm gonna go with Notre Dame to win that game. Do I think Kirby should get SEC Coach of the Year? Yes, without question. Unless Auburn wins out. If Auburn beats Alabama and then Auburn wins the SEC championship game, then I think Malzahn might get it. But I think Kirby can make a good case too. I've heard Will Muschamp's name mentioned. Look, South Carolina has had a good year. They're probably one win better than where most people had them this year. But I don't think that makes Will Muschamp worthy for Coach of the Year. I really think it should be Kirby Smart's to lose at this point. If we win this week, I think Kirby Smart should win Coach of the Year. If we finish 11-1, I feel like Kirby Smart should get Coach of the Year. Kelly Bryant won't be able to do anything against Carolina, and Bentley will tear Clemson's secondary apart. Well, that's what you have to bank on. Now, I'm not completely sold on Kelly Bryant, especially as a passer. So I think if South Carolina's defense can contain him in terms of running the ball and force him into some third and long situations where he's got to throw it, and Bentley has a good game, I really think you guys have a chance to pull the upset. I mean, obviously I picked you to win, but I really think I think this is going to be a good game. Clemson fans, I know, are way overconfident. They think they're just going to steamroll you again, and I guess that's possible. I don't see it personally. In Columbia at night is a tough place to play, and I feel like South Carolina is very confident right now. I think if this game was earlier in the year, maybe I go with Clemson. But right now, I just feel like South Carolina's pretty confident and playing some pretty good football. And I just really think this is going to be a close game. And since it's at Carolina, and I think it's going to be a close game, I'm picking Carolina to win. And it's funny, I've been saying that all week, really. And it's funny hearing these Clemson fans tell me that I'm only saying that because I hate Clemson. South Carolina is my most hated team. So, I mean, that just makes no sense. If I was going to pick the game based on who I hate, I would pick Clemson, okay? I just really feel like South Carolina's got a chance to pull the upset there. Change your channel name to LouTube, or I'll call you, well, you misspelled what you were trying to type, which made you look kind of like a tard there. So, yeah. Uncle Lou, you must beat Auburn in order to escape from the fourth dimension. Fingers crossed. I can't wait on that next video. Y'all make sure y'all are subscribed to this Squidtard, XX Squidtard here. I don't know where this guy finds the time or the creativity to make these videos he makes, but he's made some Uncle Lou videos that are absolutely hilarious. So you guys make sure you check him out. Score prediction, what, for South Carolina, Clemson? I'm going to say somewhere, 30 to 28, 31 to 27, something like that. Dumbest fan base that comes to my channel. This year, the dumbest fan base is Alabama, and it's not even close this season. It's been so easy to mess with them this year. Look, it got so easy to mess with Alabama that I quit doing it. You remember the monkeys thing I was doing? And all I had to do was say Alabama, pretty average. Yeah, the monkey thing. And the comment section would just explode. I mean, it just got so easy I had to quit. It got to where it wasn't even fun anymore. And but speaking of Alabama, you guys know Alabama Man from the comment section. I had to block him. I think maybe in the history of LouTube, there's been maybe 5 people that I've blocked from commenting. Maybe 5. And, it's real easy to make another account and start commenting again. I get it. But, and you guys know I don't mind the trolling. I love the trolling. But what I like is creative trolling. You know, telling me to get cancer and die is not really that creative, especially since it's been said 1,000 times before, right? But I'm not going to block you for that. I probably won't respond to it just because it's not very creative and kind of childish. But there's a few things that'll get you blocked. I forget exactly what Alabama man said, but it had something to do with my mother's vagina and on and on. And I was, you know, I blocked that. One person said something about me sexually abusing my son. That got him blocked. So, in other words, if you get blocked by Uncle Lou, then you really crossed the line. Because I don't mind the trolling. I love the trolling. You know, I troll just as much as anyone else. So I don't mind the trolling. I like it, and I really like the creative trolling. I love the creative. The funnier, the better. There used to be a guy in here with an account called Uncle Lou's Garage, and then he had one called Uncle Lou's Sunglasses. That was funny, and he would make funny comments. A couple of weeks ago, somebody created an account called Uncle Lou. Now, I let that go even. But then, not only did he have his account named Uncle Lou, he changed his avatar, his profile picture, to my avatar and profile picture. And he was making ridiculous comments in the comments section. And that's just confusing to people. Then people think I called their mother a goat or whatever it was he was doing. So I blocked that guy too. So just use common sense and you won't get blocked by Uncle Lou, because it's not the trolling that's going to get you blocked. It's how you're trolling or what you're choosing to troll with that's going to get you blocked. I mean, just use common sense. It's really not that hard. Final score, Georgia Tech. I'm going to say somewhere in the neighborhood of 34-17. Lou, you were pretty sure Georgia beat Auburn. You think Auburn defense is top 5. I haven't looked at the rankings this week. I know they were top 5 against the run. I'm not sure where they ranked against the pass, but so I don't know if they're top 5 overall or not. I would have to look. I'm pretty sure they're top 10 or top 15 overall at least. They may be top 5 overall. I haven't looked the rankings up this week. Do you have any dogs? Yes, I have 2 labs, and I have I part-time have a Chihuahua. The Chihuahua's like here half the time and at my wife's parents' house half the time. Lou, you're a redneck. You don't know what common sense means. Okay. It doesn't bother me. If you think I'm a redneck, that's fine. It doesn't bother me. I don't really know what your definition of redneck is. If it's someone who hunts or fishes or whatever, I've never done any of that. I don't have a 4-wheel drive truck or anything like that. If you're just saying I'm a redneck because I'm from Georgia and you're just one of the, you know, everyone from Georgia is a redneck, that's fine. I mean, but don't really know what you're going for there. Which school is Easton and Fromm going to transfer next year? Well, Fromm's not going to transfer. I do think Easton transfers. My guess would be Michigan or the West Coast. B. Currington lives in Gwinnett. All right. My favorite thing is when Ohio State fans use the redneck line or make Southern jokes, you know. Oh, you know, redneck, trailer trash, you know, poor white Southern, blah blah blah. Listen to what Uncle Lou's about to tell you now. Okay? Ohio is full of white trash, rednecks. It just happens to be up north, okay? The only difference between Ohio white trash rednecks and southern white trash rednecks is that the southern white trash rednecks were smart enough to get out of the cold. That's the only difference. But in terms of like trailer parks per acre, Ohio is #1 in America. And you can Google map that if you don't believe. I actually did that in a video one time. And I put up a still image of this. It had a red dot that represented every trailer park in Ohio. And you really couldn't even see anything other than the red dots. So. I think Fields will take over next year. No, I do think he'll play, though, certain packages and situations, but I don't think he'll be the starter next year. Best UJ game I've ever experienced in person. was 2000, I think it was, when we played Tennessee in Athens and tore the goalpost down. I was at that game, jumped the hedges, went on the field, the whole thing. You know, that'll probably never happen again in my lifetime, and if it does happen, I'm definitely not jumping any fences or hedges anymore. So that was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me. So as far as in-person games, that's by far the best experience. The best game I've ever seen on TV was probably the 2012 SEC Championship game. Ohio has more minorities? I seriously doubt that. Atlanta's about 60% Mexican. I mean, just being real. There's a suburb of Augusta here, Grovetown, that's probably over 50% Hispanic. The entire city of Augusta itself is mostly black. And then you've got Evans, which is a suburb of Augusta that's mostly white, I guess. But there's a lot of minorities in Georgia. I mean, it's not like it's just nothing but white guys running around Georgia. I promise you, Georgia's filled with minorities like every other state is. USC prediction for next season? Too early. I don't know. It's too early for me to even get into that. You know, I'll do a whole series of videos this summer like I did this past summer, previewing every team. I mean, I have to look at things like, you know, which of your players are seniors, what juniors are leaving. You know, I'd have to look at your schedule, you know, home games, away games, what are your non-con games, you know, and then I'd have to compare that to every other team you're playing. I couldn't make a prediction on next season right now. I'll tell you this, if I had to guess right now, I would say Georgia and South Carolina are going to be picked to finish first and second in the East next year. I'll guess that. It's like, as far as the media predictions and things like that, I'd be willing to bet that Georgia is picked to win the East next year, and I'd be willing to bet that South Carolina is picked to finish second in the East next year. But in turn, that's what I think the media will say with their predictions. But in terms of the Uncle Lou prediction, I'll have to wait until the summer to get into that. I think Kentucky wins today. What about Kentucky? Uncle Lou, will the Dogs win what today? The Dogs win the Natty? Hard to say. I mean, we got to beat Tech. We got to win the SEC championship game, and then if that happens, we're in the playoffs. So we'll see how that shakes out. See who all gets in, and just go from there. Are you a Republican? I try not to get into politics on here because I somehow manage to piss everyone off. When I do that, I really don't want to get into that. Yeah, I really don't want to get into that. Lou, what's the best heartbreaking? I don't know what that means. Like the most heartbreaking loss? Alabama 2012. Florida 2002, Tennessee 2007, South Carolina, I think that was 2007 too, I believe. But I mean, nothing beats the loss in the last 30 years. Nothing beats Alabama game in 2012, the SEC championship game in 2012 in terms of heartbreaking losses. Why is South Carolina your most hated team? It's just a matter of geography. Sir, I live in Augusta, Georgia, which is on the border of South Carolina. So all my life, I've seen more and been around more South Carolina fans than I have fans of any other particular team. And so my hate just developed out of that. Would you be surprised to see Mullen in the Vols next year? I think that's probably the best possible hire Tennessee could make, if they could somehow convince Dan Mullen to jump ship at Mississippi State and come to Tennessee. I think that's their ceiling. If they don't get Dan Mullen, whoever they get is not going to be as good as Dan Mullen, in my opinion. And I don't think Dan Mullen is elite, but I think he's the best of what Tennessee could possibly get. UF's best possible hire. I think Scott Frost would be better than... I mean... You can look at Scott Frost and say, well, he doesn't have a lot of experience, so how do you really know? But the thing is, Chip Kelly does. I don't believe. I've seen what Chip Kelly does, Miami score. I don't think Chip Kelly's offense from 5, 6, 7 years ago is going to work today in the SEC. I just don't. Could I be wrong? Of course I could. But I just don't think that. Yeah, good morning, Saline Driver. Lou, with a back like Chubb, you think Georgia would use him in passes? Chubb's not much of a pass-catching running back. That's what's going to hurt him in the NFL, in my opinion. I've said this before. That's why I think Sony Michel will be drafted higher than Nick Chubb. Sony Michel is a 3-down back in the NFL. He can run on 1st and 2nd down, and he can pass protect and catch passes out of the backfield on 3rd down. Nick Chubb, I just don't see catching a lot of passes out of the backfield on the NFL level, which is going to limit his value, I think, to a 1st and 2nd down back. Monroe Buffalo Wild Wings. I don't live in no, I'm not going to Monroe. I live in Augusta. I'm going to the Wild Wings in Augusta tomorrow to watch the Georgia Tech game. If you're in the Augusta area, come to Wild Wings on Washington Road tomorrow. I'll be there at 11:30. The game starts at 12. I'm going to stay up there for probably the first half at least. Watch the first half up there and eat some wings. Lou Jr. will be with me. Bringing Miss Lou with me too. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll have some folks up there. Jake Bentley, top 3 quarterback in the SEC. Pure quarterback, I would say Drew Lock, number 1. I don't know. I mean, there's not a whole lot of elite quarterbacks in the SEC right now. I mean, it's just not. It's not. Jalen Hurts is not. He's a good running back. Stidham can be good at times. He's a little inconsistent. Fromm, too young. Only throws 10 times a game. Shermer, decent. Tennessee's quarterbacks, garbage. Florida's quarterbacks, garbage. Arkansas quarterbacks, garbage. Texas A&M entire team, garbage. Nick Fitzgerald. I don't know. Yeah, Jake Bentley probably is a top 3 quarterback in the SEC. Does Les Miles get hired this offseason? I honestly can't believe you don't hear his name mentioned more. I feel if he doesn't get hired, then I would imagine it's because he doesn't want to. I just can't imagine somebody not offering him a job. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But it seems like there's a lot of coaches currently coaching teams that aren't as good as Les Miles. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Chubb is a stud player. I completely agree. Best Squidtard video. Any of the Uncle Lou ones are amazing. Chubb is too slow to be NFL. Or no. Chubb's not too slow. Chubb's not too slow for the NFL, no. Chubb will be probably a 2nd round pick. 3rd maybe. Depends on how many teams need running backs, but he's not too slow for the NFL. Butch Jones to Kansas. Oh, man, wouldn't that be great? That would be so funny. Chubb was a track champion in high school now. I haven't seen his 40 time or whatever post knee surgery, but he's not too slow for the NFL. He's not as fast as Todd Gurley, I can tell you that right now. He's not as fast as Todd Gurley, but he's not too slow for the NFL. Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, even though Fields committed. Who's better? Trevor Lawrence is better. I mean, Justin Fields is going to be a better runner, but I mean, look, when I talk about quarterbacks, I know people love these running quarterbacks, and that's great if a quarterback can run. The first thing I look at when I see a quarterback is his throwing ability, okay? I mean, and I'm high on Justin Fields. I'm glad we're getting Justin Fields. He's not as good of a quarterback as Trevor Lawrence. He's just not. Now, could he have a better college career than Trevor Lawrence? Of course he could. Just because one person's better in high school doesn't mean the other person can't have a better college career. That's not what I'm saying. But Trevor Lawrence The guy looks like an NFL quarterback already when he throws the ball. I mean, and Georgia fans wanted him bad. Now, he committed to Clemson well over a year ago, so we gave up on him. But that doesn't mean that he's magically now no good just because he didn't commit to Georgia. The guy's a stud, okay? Trevor Lawrence is the real deal. I'll be shocked if he's not starting next year at Clemson. Do I think Benny Snell could be a high? No. I don't even need to read the rest of that. Benny Snell is not going to be a Heisman candidate. Just stop. What does he have? 1,200 yards rushing? Come on. You're not winning the Heisman with 1,200 yards rushing. T. Martin won a natty at Tennessee. That's amazing. Yeah. 1998 was a great year. All right, I got to go. Turnover chain. Turnover chain. All right, I got to go. We'll see what happens with the games. I have a video for y'all tomorrow morning. Have a great day.